Hey guys, what's up? Mustayaki here, creator of iPorterboy. Welcome to another episode of How to Bam's Mailbag. Now, Mailbag is the new weekly show where you can send in all the questions that you have about making manga, and we will be answering them on the show. Now, if you have any questions, you can send them at any moment to this address, info@howtobam.com. Now, let's start with the Mailbag show.
Oi, 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 is that the mail?
This week we have a special guest on our show, the writer of the manga series Race On, that's being published by Saturday AM. It's Mario Zavovsky. Thank you for joining us today on such short notice.
Oh man, it's a pleasure being here. I watch your videos every week, so as soon as I heard that they'll be in one of your videos, I was super excited, man.
Great to hear that, man. Good you're also a fan of the show. Okay, great. Let's start with the first mailbag question. It's from Sachin Harricharran, writes, sorry if I butchered your name. Hey Mustayaki, I wanted to ask someone like you this question. How can I improve my art drastically? I've read your manga and it's really good. I think you'd make a great art teacher. See, I've been drawing since I was 8 and now I'm 14. Even though it's a 6-year gap, I can draw really good, but for anatomy, I have a little trouble. Thanks. Thanks, Sachin, for your question. He hits the mark with his anatomy. I think that's where you start when you want to improve your art drastically. That you get your anatomy right, and that's where the most mistakes of people who draw, or most artists that draw, they copy the works of what they see and what they know, or try to make their own manga, but they don't really have the anatomy right. So start with that one. That's what my advice would be. You can also start from studying from real life, watch real life things. That's what I do. Sometimes I go sit in a cafe, drink some coffee, watch how things are built up. Look at people. Look at how things are created. Look how things are built up. And that helped me a lot. And also I have a background in graphic design. And that's also one thing that helped me a lot by thinking in layers. I work a lot with Photoshop and with Illustrator. So building things up with layers helps me think of a drawing in a 3D form. And that also really helped me because you can have layers in front of each other, and that helps that 3D perspective. Also, different styles help me also a lot. So don't stick with just one style, or maybe you're copying something from Naruto or One Piece. Don't just stick with one style you're familiar with. Just try to take more different styles in your collection. So you can learn, you have a library on different styles, and you can all bring them together at one time and bring your own piece of style in there eventually. So think out of the box. That's also one thing. So try different styles. And one thing what really helped me also a lot is trying, artwork and writing and all these creative things are still a very special way of doing things. So it's almost like you're in a dream world and you're mixing it with reality. And I think the challenge is that you have to mix those in a right balance. So when you're dreaming, you can dream of really crazy stuff and really creative stuff. And I think the challenge is to get those creations and that creativity, bring it to reality, and by having your reality, having the tool set. So when you master something in a specific style, it's when you study your tools. It's study when you start mastering your craft, and then you bring in that creativity and mix it together. And I think that's the real challenge, to find out where the balance is, and try to create things from that point on, from creativity, and flow it out. So that's my take on it. How do you think it works, Mario?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it right on the head with the whole anatomy and basics and mixing reality with the dream world. I think you put it really well. I couldn't have said it better myself, but yeah, like you said, I think starting with anatomy and the basics and just observing life around you, that's kind of the basics for all art. I would say not just drawing, but also writing. I mean, you have to start somewhere, so why not start from what's in front of you, and then after you learn the basics, after you learn anatomy, just work your way up. And I think that with the internet nowadays, it's a lot easier to learn stuff because you have so many resources and so many tutorials, and it's really it's made it easier for people who want to achieve something to know how to get it. So just find some tutorials on anatomy and just stick to it. Put in a lot of effort, and you'll get there eventually.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I hope we answered your question with that. On to the next question. It's from Daisetsu Bushido writes, "Hello Mustayaki. I once heard a saying that when you spend 10,000 hours doing something, you'll become a master in it. Do you think that the age of a mangaka, when she's deciding to become one, is somehow affecting how good he or she can become when it comes to drawing? I mean that people sometimes hear something like, 'You're too old for this.' Or do you think that it doesn't matter what age a certain person is and it's important to just spend all those hours practicing without worrying how old you are? Best wishes and good luck with your jobs and manga." What's your take on this, Mario?
Actually, I think that it doesn't really matter. If you want something, go for it. I mean, it doesn't really matter how old you are, as long as you want to do something and you're willing to put in effort into it. Don't worry about what others say. I mean, I know from experience, since when I was, I think in primary school, a lot of the kids were, into sports and stuff, and I was into games and writing, and everyone else was just, why would you write it? That's silly stuff. But I don't know, I like it, and I didn't care what other people say. So I think the best advice I could give is just listen to yourself. If you want it, if you're willing to put in the effort, go for it. Don't worry about what other people say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm over 30 years. I'm way past 30, and I still draw manga, and I don't let those things affect me at all. But there are some things that I worry about, and that's being a certain age that you don't really connect anymore to the audience you are writing or drawing for. For example, like I'm 30, the whole generation is different now. It's difficult to connect sometimes to understand how it works. And to see how teenagers react or go to social media these days, and what their mindset is and what their problems are and how they resolve things, that's a completely different state from what I was when I was a teenager. It's totally different. So I can see that there can be some difficulties over there. So someone who's 60 or 70 years old can relate a little bit less with someone who is 16. So if you're writing for that demographic, it will be a little bit challenging. And I don't think it's always true when it comes to how much time you spend writing or drawing to become a master in it. Because you can spend 10,000 hours, but it doesn't really say that you're improving really, really much. It can also mean that you've maybe took a million hours, or maybe just a couple of hours, and you're far more improved than somebody who would do 10,000 hours in their work. I think it's really important to what I talked about in my Prep Yourself video is know your strength, be critical on yourself, know what your strengths and weaknesses are, to understand yourself better. And then you can get better, because it's not always about doing the miles. Of course, doing the miles, a lot of writing, a lot of drawing really helps. But it comes to the fact when you really grow, when you really bring it to the next level, has to do with understanding yourself, understanding your limits, understanding where you can benefit from. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, you definitely need to know what your strengths are and what your weaknesses. And I think a simple rule for this would be to have a plan, to know what you need to work on and then work on it. So, like you said, it doesn't matter if you spend 10,000 hours drawing just hands. Maybe you'll get good at hands, but then the rest of the anatomy you'll be better at anything really. So you really need to have a plan and know what to work on, and realize that if you're not good enough at something, you have to realize then be ready to work on that thing instead of constantly working on the same thing and not getting overall improvement. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I also take some examples from well, how I did it, how I well, get it to a next level, so to speak. Is I didn't draw for quite a while. It was between, I think, my 20th year or when I was 18 or something till I was 27 or 26. I stopped drawing, and what really helped me improve was just like I answered to the previous question, was by studying life, by understanding how things work. How just watching how things come together, how things connect, how things are created, and just by observing some of these things, the knowledge was in me, and later on the face, I could use it. So that's, well, it's I compare it a little bit like going to the gym, right? It's when you train a lot, it's good, you get pumped up. But you also need those days when you need rest, so everything can grow. And sometimes I compare that. So sometimes rest can help you with that also. Okay, on to the next question. Justin writes, "Hello, my name is Justin. First of all, thank you for creating these How to BAM videos. They've really helped. I have two questions for you. When creating new characters, is it important to put a lot of meaning, whether being metaphorical or blunt, into each character? Example, like Naruto, Sakura meaning cherry blossom. Her color is pink and she has pink hair." Well, let us first answer that question. Well, I think it's not really crucial. I think it's not crucial to have it, but I'm not a really big fan of doing it just to do it. You know, it's not to have it blunt and just out there. I think there has to be a mature thought behind it, that you have spent a real thinking about it. That it's really meaningful, and that it's symbolic. It shows that you're interested in it, and it shows your experience in studying and in research and all of those things. And you can have it involved in the story. You can have it come to play later on, and that can have really importance in the background of the character or in the story. And yeah, that could be better for the whole concept, but not to be blunt. I don't like those things. What do you think, Mario?
Yeah, I mean, you're right about it, about thinking about which character to put symbolic meaning in them. Like it loses the effect if every second character has some symbolism about them. Like, I think a good lesson I learned from my poetry teacher was that if you use too much of something, it loses its value. So I really think that when it comes to symbolism and symbolic names or any kind of symbols, it matters to know when to use them, so that they are not all over the place, because something has great impact when it's rare, when it doesn't appear. Like, if every character has a symbolic name, then it kind of loses its value and loses the point. But if you see Tom, John, and all of a sudden you see some guy with a biblical name, like, I don't know, like like Adam or something, you know that character is important and it carries some weight with it. So I really think that symbolism is all about knowing when to use it and not just spreading it all over the place.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that. Yeah. On to the next question of Justin. In the second question, he asks, "Are there any tricks or ways to fit a lot into a small panel?" Well, what is a lot, and why? Why would you want to do that? It's a very general question, so I don't know why you want to fit everything or a lot in a small panel. But if you have a lot of text, it will be pretty difficult to fit it in. You can put it over the panels, that you can fit the speech bubbles over the panels, that you can flow it like that, so that you can save some room for in the panels itself. Is the panel, do you mean it like a small panel in vertical or in horizontal? It's also depending, because horizontal you have much more space than vertical. And you can put a lot of drawing in one panel. You can go very detailed, but then again, why would you want to fit so much in a small panel? What do you think, Mario?
Well, no comment. I mean, I'm not an expert in this, but I don't know. I guess he's trying to save space on the pages, or save on paper or something. But yeah, I really don't know. I guess I don't want to spread misinformation. So to the person asking the question, listen to what Mustayaki said. He's the expert. You know.
How do you do it with writing? Do you also write it for each panel, or do you write it for the whole page?
Writing generally, the way I work with Gemar, he's my artist on Rayson. We have this sort of, it's not exactly a script writing format, but it's not exactly normal narrative like you would find in novels. So it's somewhere in the middle. That way, I mean, he has some creative freedom. I don't describe each panel specifically, but instead I write it page by page. So he knows what's on each page, but he has the freedom to choose which panel goes where, what's in each panel, and how to split the pages. So yeah, I think that if he wants to fit a lot of stuff on the panel, he should consider about the overall page layout. Like you said, horizontal panels have more space than vertical. So yeah.
Okay. The next question is from Juan Haidar Barre. Writes, "Hello, my name is Juan, and I have been drawing manga for 2 months. I know the basics, and I have this great idea in my head for a manga, but when the time of drawing comes, I can't do it. My question is how to create your own manga characters. Not copying them, I just would like to know how to start from zero. Thank you for your time. Love your videos." Well, Mario, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that creating characters is pretty much the same for whether it's a manga or writing, and you still need to have good and well-developed characters. And the way I do it, I mean, first I think what kind of world they're in and what the story is. I mean, to have a good story, you need to have characters that fit in the story, unless they're meant to stand out of the world. So I think that the important thing when creating a character from scratch, if you want to avoid copying other stories or other manga, is to just think about your story and think of perhaps similar mangas and what kind of characters they have, and you want to deviate from that. So if you want to be unique, think of some characters that you haven't read about before. Some characteristics that you think are well, not unique, because it's pretty hard to be unique nowadays, but perhaps I should say a combination of characteristics. Like, you can take bits and pieces of different characters and put them together, because really a character is not just one characteristic, it's a combination of different sides. That's why there are three-dimensional characters and two-dimensional characters. So you can have some characteristics from one character that you know, and then come up with your own twist and come up with your own unique characteristic that add on to that. So I think, yeah, that's one way to do it, to just combine different things and try to come up with a character that maybe its parts aren't completely unique, but as a whole it creates a unique character that's completely different than anything else. So that's how I do it. I mean, I think about different characters and different bits and pieces of personalities, and then I just put them together and see how they work. And if I've already read or seen a character like that, then I keep working on it and try to make it different and see what works and what doesn't and what feels right. So when you have the character ready, it will just feel like a character. It will feel right. At least that's my experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can also answer this question on 2 takes, because you can, if you start from zero, yeah, the writing is very important, and also the artwork. So you have to see how you build up, well, your illustration or your artwork for the character, how it looks. But I also, I thought I answered this question in the previous mailbag, that a person asking me how to build up those characters, and I answered that you take that from characteristics, like you said, Mario. It's like taking the characteristics. You have to get the basics of the character first, and that's from the story. It's first you write the story, and then you design them. But it can also be the other way around. I also developed first characters on paper and drawing them out, and later I developed the story with them, so try to match things up. But if I have to answer from a artist perspective, by drawing a character from complete zero, I would say just start with what I said in the previous question from this mailbag, is start with anatomy. Start with your basic structures, your skeletons of your character, build them up, try to fit characteristics in there, and try different perspectives, try different things. And it starts from copying. I'm trying to make a video about this, so it's for the main shows. I'm going to try to make a video that's just from this topic, to start from zero, absolute zero. And then how are you going to draw your characters, how are you going to build them up? And what I always say is start from copying. Start from copying other work. That's a nice reference. So you get to fit one style. You have one style in hand, and try to get that character. Just get one character, a favorite character. It could be a manga character. It could be a totally different character from another comic or series or strips. I know I've never copied a manga character before. I never did. What I did was when I was younger, I copied a lot of Spider-Man. And what I did was I copied him exactly like it was in the comics. And after that, I draw them out of my head, out of the top of my head. I draw them in different styles, different perspectives, and that also helped me, get it build it up to your own version of him. And then after that, you can create your own character. But that steps after that. So that's one take, or that's my take on it. Okay, yeah, that's my answer. Let's go on to the next question. Natalie Mann writes, "Hi Mustayaki, I'm wondering how you manage to do both work, drawing manga, having a family, and making BAM fits. How does your week look like? I'm drawing manga myself, but after a day of stress at work, I am totally drained. Greets, Nat. Keep up the great work. You're motivating a lot of potential artists out there." Well, I don't actually. You can try to keep it up. It's like holding balls in your hand and throwing them in the air and try to balance them, juggling with it. But eventually, one ball will fall. It's about choices. Now I'm spending most of the time I'm spending on the how to BAM videos. What happens is that iPod the Boy suffers. It's choices. So iPod the Boy is on hiatus right now, and there was a time when I did all of those things all at once. I worked, I did how to BAM videos, and I did iPod the Boy, and of course I've got my family. And iPod the Boy was getting published in a magazine in my country, and there was a certain deadline for that. But I also got my 40-hour job in the week. So I went to my work. I started from 7 a.m. and till 4 p.m. In the midday. And after that I rushed home. and I started to draw. I had to push out those pages, and I had 1 week to get I think it was more than that. It was 7 pages. I had to finish 7 pages, and they also needed to be full colored. So I had to create 7 pages in 1 week, and what I did was in the whole week I slept, and I'm not over exaggerating this, but I slept I think about 5 hours in total in the whole week, and that really burned me out the week after that. So I was totally drained. So eventually you can't keep it up. You have to make choices, or you have to have a really good strategy. You have to really plan everything out right. That you just spend time at your work, then spend 3 hours, 4 hours in the evening on your making manga. Spend another couple of hours on your family if they like that or don't. Yeah, you still have to make good judgment about that. And it's all about organizing things. That's what I think about it. What's your take on it, Mario?
You can always find a time machine, and if that doesn't work. Like I said, it's all about priorities. I mean, I know that in my case, I have both university and writing and everything, so I have to juggle, well, not as many things as you, but still you have to think really good and make a really good plan about what you do first, what second, and what part of your activities has the biggest priority. For example, if you have to go to work, then go to work and then put drawing manga, try to fit it in a time slot when you have a bit more time. For example, I mean, if you see that you can't keep up with both work and drawing manga in the same day, then try and make time for drawing manga on the weekends or when you're more free. I think that the important thing about this is to not try and do everything every day. So, for example, if you don't have work, if you're a student like me, you can set Monday is for studying, Tuesday is for drawing, for example. And, just set each day for a separate activity, and I think that's one way to manage to juggle several different things instead of trying to put everything into one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, you definitely need to have priorities. Yeah. Time machine.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Let's go on to the next question. It's from Masaru Domoto, writes, "Hello Mustayaki, I am a university student. I'm studying business management, but my passion and love is to draw comics. When I was younger, I was always drawing Disney-style comics, but I recently found what manga is, and I fell in love with the art and the unique style. My point is, when I was drawing Disney comics, my friends praised me, and they told me that my work was good, but when I started experimenting in manga, they said to me that manga is childish, all look the same, and it's not appealing to kids anymore. If manga looks childish, then Disney comics are supposed to be for teenagers? I don't understand why this is happening. Thank you and keep up the amazing work with How to Bam. Best wishes." I love that last part. I don't understand what is happening. Yeah, it's really weird. I think it's weird. Because I don't see manga or anime as childish. It's there are certain genres that are more childlike, like Pokemon. But I hear a lot of people saying Dragon Balls is childish. And I can't understand that concept, but I think those people don't really are involved in the cartoon or in that anime. And there's also a difference between the Japanese version and the English version. If you grew up with the Japanese version, then you think it's much more mature, because it's in Japan. There are grown-ups, mostly grown-ups, who are watching all these anime and reading manga. Depending on the genre, of course, because if you got shonen is really directed for teenagers. But again, that's not childish. It's not a kid who is watching these things. And yeah, Disney. I grew up with Disney as a child, so I can relate to that. But like I said, it's really amazing how people sometimes can judge something that they really don't are or not familiar of, and they can say it looks childish. There is like One Piece. If you've seen the anime One Piece, they made a lot of censorship in it. Like Sanji is, instead of he's smoking, he's got a lollipop, and they changed his voice so dramatically that I hate to watch that English version. And for me, watching One Piece anime, it looks childish to me. Naruto, on the other hand, is a bit more mature, but if you watch the Japanese version, I think it's much more mature. It gets a lot more emotion. The voice actors give a lot more emotion to it. So that's I'm really astonished of people who still make accusations of that. How do you think of that, Mario?
I think that the problem with this is that people often like to generalize on stuff they don't know about. I mean, for example, I'm sure that most people who said that anime or manga is for kids have only maybe seen one anime or read one manga that was actually for kids and think all of it is the same, which is totally different. I mean, that's like reading one book for kids and saying that all books are for kids, which is, it can't be further from the truth. I mean, I think that the problem is that people don't really know how many anime and manga are there, and that there is real diversity, and that there aren't just manga for kids or anime for kids, but they're for grown-ups, for teenagers, like you said, for girls, for guys, and there are, of course there are for kids as well, but there are some anime and manga that are really heavy in how should I say, in their story. They're a lot more adult oriented, and they have heavy messages and really deep stories that I don't think that kids could even appreciate the full spectrum of the stories that they have. So I think that the biggest problem is that people aren't well informed and that they generalize too much. So yeah,
exactly. You hit the nail on that one. There are many different styles, and if you look at Disney, if you're not familiar with Disney cartoons, and you start looking at them, you probably see also a resemblance in them. You'll think also that they're all the same. So yeah, it's the same for people who don't know anime. And then just an example is the Lego movie that just came out. If you look at the context in the Lego movie, it's actually a family movie or a movie for adults that children also can enjoy, and that's that's really cool to see, because there are things in there that are waved in there that's more for adults to enjoy and to understand than children can. So yeah, that's that's really special. Let's go on to the final question of this mailbag episode. It's from Yellow Flash, who writes, "Hi there, I am 15 and it's my dream to become a mangaka. I started drawing manga 3 years ago and I have already come up with a good idea for manga. But here's my question. What do you feel about people starting to draw with making a career out of it in their minds at a young age? Do you think that people should make up their mind about what they want to do when they grow up while they are still younger? Or do you think they should take their time with their decisions? Thanks, you are a great inspiration to me." What's your take on it, Mario?
Well, I think that it's good to have dreams and goals at such an age. I mean, it says 15, right? I think that when I was 15, I already knew that I was going to be a writer, and here I am still going at it, so I haven't changed my mind, luckily. But yeah, it's good to have dreams and goals, but also coming back to the previous question, you should know how to balance things. So don't just say, I'm going to be a mangaka and then drop everything and stop doing everything else and stop going to school. So I think that if you really want to be a mangaka, you have to have a sort of plan. So go for it, but don't drop everything else. So yeah, and it's great that it's such a young age that Yellow Flash has an idea and a goal of becoming a mangaka, and I support that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's really good to start from a young age if you're already determined. It's funny because when I was at school, at primary school, I always wanted to draw. I wanted to be a artist, but the teachers then told me, well, It's a hard life, and it is. It's a struggling life because the amount of results you get, especially in financial results, are a bit low. So you have to work very hard to keep that up. But what I did was I focused my point on something totally different. My second passion I have, and that's movies. So I wanted to be a movie director, and that's what my goal was when I was very young. I always filmed at home, making home videos, and suddenly I had to make a choice in school, and I made the choice to go to a school where they stimulate that, where they do video productions. So I did that, and then I built my company, also involved with video companies. I did it with my brother, and we always wanted to make movies. So the artist part was a little bit out, but I still use it for storyboarding and for drawing out things, for concepts. But being a director was my main goal back then. And after years, I started to realize that it was a very big undertaking to make. Just you got so many people involved in making a movie, and you got so many things to do. And the business in the country where I live for making movie is on it's not different standards than they have in the US, and different schools and different education. So my dream as a movie director, I crawled a little back from that, and then I was just in a phase where I didn't know what to do with my life, and I started to get things from just feeling, just getting things from understanding what I did when I was a kid, and then I started to get back on drawing again, because I realized, that really gave me a passion. Because what I was doing in my company was making a lot of commercials and business videos, and it was all company and commercial based. So what I wanted to do was something to inspire people and to reach people's hearts. And manga was, anime and manga was what happened. I liked to watch it and to read it a lot. So I took that road to take that, and eventually I ended up, or where I am now is still making manga, and I'm still keeping that dream on because I love it. I love the style. I love the symbolism that's behind it. I love the culture that's involved, and I like this opportunity that the world now it's still building up in the global world. In Japan, yeah, they're much further than that. But globally, we are very much behind in manga because, of course, manga is created from Japan. But I think there will be a point where manga will be made from all over the world, and we are still on the beginnings and at the starting line of that point. So that's really exciting to see that. And yeah, to come back to your question, I think it's really good to have a goal as a kid. But like Mario also said, you have to stick to your priorities. You have to know, you just don't throw away everything and just go for manga. Have a backup plan, like I always say. So yeah, that's my take on this. Okay, guys, thanks for all your questions. We got a lot of questions, by the way. We got a lot of questions, and we can't get through all of them. So I'm sorry if your question isn't in there. You can always try to send it again, or try to send it in a different tone, or if your question may be answered already. So keep sending in those questions. Mario, thank you so much for joining us today for this MAILBAG event. It was really nice having you. It was the first time we have a guest on our show, and I was really excited about it. It was really great.
Me too, man. Thanks for having me here. It was a blast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have to do this more often. Thanks, man. And good luck with your series Race On. Is it still running in Saturday AM, right?
Yes, it's still running. This upcoming issue, we're taking a small break. That's issue 7 that's coming out tomorrow, I believe. Yes, on Saturday. tomorrow issue 7 is coming out. We're going to take a small break, so Rayson won't be appearing in there, but we're returning bigger and better for issue 8, and there's gonna be a cover made by Rayson artist Grimart for the whole magazine, and we're gonna have an extended chapter, so it's gonna be bigger than usual. So I think that everyone's going to like it, even though we're not gonna be in this upcoming issue.
Oh, okay, great. Where can people find you?
They can find Rayson on the Saturday AM website. So we're part of the magazine, so we have a homepage on the website. We also have a fan page on Facebook, just Rayson, and yeah, that's where they can find us. We're on Facebook as well and on Twitter and stuff. So anyone who's free to contact us can find me and Jim are on Facebook, and I'm on Twitter as well.
Okay, great. And your Twitter name is just Mario Zavosky. Okay, great. Okay, thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
Okay, man. See you later. Jane. That's it for this week's episode of Mailbag. Thank you guys for sending in all those great questions. I hope we answered a lot of those questions for you. Remember, if you have any questions about making manga, you can send in the questions at any moment to info@howtobam.com. Next week, I will be picking up some new questions for next week's episode of Mailbag. That's it for now. What did you guys think? Leave your comment in the comment section below. Let me know also if you like this video by hitting that like button. And share the video. Be a subscriber to the channel if you haven't already. It's a great way for staying updated for the latest videos. And you can also follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Just type in Mustayaki, and you can also follow How to Bam on Facebook and Twitter. So if you want to stay updated for the latest insight, it's just one button click away. Thank you, Bammers, for watching this video, and keep in mind, it's not only the pen that's mightier than the sword, it's also you overcoming awesomeness. Ganbatte on your manga. Until next time. Jane.